We're at Halloway's Value Grocer, and I'm with Kayla Dillon from League, and we're going to go pick up the ingredients we need for a beef stew. I read the vital signs report that came out from the Harris Center, and one of the statistics is that to make a pot of beef stew, it's up by 43% in the last 5 years. So I want to put that theory to test and see how much it costs us.
We see local residents struggling, and we're often seeing people come in and finding it difficult to have the money to buy what they need.
Need a garlic. Yeah, garlic. And we need a salt and a pepper. All right, we got our groceries. Now let's go make some soup. And now we're at the Lethbridge Recreation Center where we're going to make our soup. So Kayla, tell me a bit about why we're making soup together.
So I am a member of League, and what that is a lived and living experience advisory group. We're just regular people. We are the people that you walk by at grocery stores, and we all have our own different experiences with food poverty. And I think that now more than ever, it's really crucial for us to exist because we give people a face and a name, and it makes you understand when you hear stories that you're not alone in this world, you know, you're not alone in feeling this. And I find, because I'm from St. John's originally, so I have the experience, my own personal experiences in St. John's. But then when I moved here in 2018, it's a whole new bunch of barriers as well. So that's where I'm really passionate about the work that we do with League, because I think now more than ever, there's so many people who are struggling that were never struggling before.
Absolutely.
And it's a new experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, last year alone, there was over 15,000 people that visited food banks around the province. So I think that's a great indicator of the increasing cost of food, the increased cost of living. You know, this form of a crisis that we're all kind of facing.
Yeah.
Even folks with a double income, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
are struggling and having to visit food banks and find alternative methods. So what are the barriers that you see and that you hear about that are creating this type of food insecurity within communities?
I think the biggest thing that I hear a lot of is the access, is having the access to food. Because I mean, I hear stories all the time of, you know, families with no vehicles or families with one vehicle and a spouse is working, and just being able to get to the food in the first place is one of the biggest struggles. Once you get there, getting there is the first hurdle you climb, and then once you're there, it's the matter of, what can I purchase today? Do I have to put something back if I want to, you know, what do I need to sacrifice today to put food on my table to make it last until I can come back again? Right?
Yeah. Not to get too personal and don't feel obligated to answer, but what types of things have you been experiencing within your family? Do you have to make like budgetary cuts? Do you have to decide whether you're going to put something back on the shelf or 100%. Be able to buy? Yeah,
100%. I have 4 children, so my kids range from the ages of 4 to 15. My 15-year-old could probably eat us out of the house if we gave him free roam. But the struggle we have is that I have 2 children that are in school age, and one is going to be entering the school system next year. Being able to provide adequate meals and balanced meals gets harder and harder. And for me, I struggle a lot even going to the grocery store because I find it really overwhelming. And you go in and you things you bought regularly for years all of a sudden are very expensive, more so than before, and it just seems like it continues to climb. Yeah. So I know in my personal life, when I go to get groceries, I find myself sacrificing fresh produce for frozen or for canned goods. And while my kids don't necessarily mind the adjustment, for me personally, that's not where I would have liked to provide for my kids. I like to have fresh vegetables, fresh fruits, as much as I can.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we've definitely had to put things back or had to just completely dismiss certain things. And that is probably our biggest struggle is, you know, between, you know, we had 2 small kids in the midst of a pandemic. You know, we tried the, you know, beans and ways of making things affordable for us. But I found that it just, as even more so as of lately, it's harder to to get in there and get what you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, we're talking about accessibility, affordability, just the basics that we require to eat. For example, all of this cost us over $50 to make a pot of soup. How can we change this? How can we make food more accessible for people? It's kind of outrageous to think about that the cost of a pot of soup is up by 43%. A basic meal, a staple meal in many homes, right?
Exactly.
So what can we do?
And you're right, like for us in our home, like a vegetable soup or a beef stew is definitely a common crutch that we'd have in our house, especially in between, you know, you get in between your payday. So that's like, that was our favorite, you know, you're getting your vegetables, you're getting a pot of soup is so great, but that's the thing, it's making it accessible.
Absolutely,
Right? Yeah.
absolutely. I also read in the Vital Signs report that came out from the Harris Center, the local mom and pop grocery stores aren't just a place where people can buy food, right?
That's right.
They're literally a lifeline for some because what, like you mentioned, what if you have transportation issues, you have mobility issues? What happens when these smaller grocers and independent grocery stores disappear? What happens to the folks in those towns with no accessibility, right?
That is what worries me the most,
Yeah.
is not having the access to the food. Who's going to go hungry? And this is one of the big things with League, is that food is a right and it's not a privilege. So no matter what walk of life you come from, no matter, you know, if you have a one person home or 10 children, everyone is feeling the strain, and it's just so much more needs to be done, and so much more awareness needs to be shouted from the rooftops, because it isn't just what you would expect. It's everyone. It's your next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Right. In the big picture of it all, we need to make the awareness and put faces to the stories, because people will say, oh, well, you can pinpoint who is going through food poverty. You can't. You don't know who you're walking by and what they're struggling with in the run of a day.
Yep.
And someone who may have it all together could be crumbling on the inside because they haven't eaten in 2 days. Right?
That's a powerful message.
If you don't ask for the help, it's very hard to get the help. And I think that that's another struggle a lot of people face, you know, is the shame of asking.
Yeah.
People are afraid to ask for help because they're afraid to be rejected. But yeah, like the big picture is the awareness. If we don't know, we can't learn, we can't make changes, right? And
Absolutely.
I think that education is the key.
Absolutely.
Here we go. We'll shield the mess.
Oh my gosh, look at this.
That is going to be so delicious.
Beautiful.
So colorful.
So colorful. All right, let's get that back on the boil now. All right, let's get it on the stove now to finish it off, and we can put our peas in. Now, before we eat our soup this evening, I just want to ask you, what are some ways that regular folks can help remove the barriers to food insecurity, especially in rural Newfoundland?
I think the best thing that people should remember is that your community is going to be your saving grace. So I think that the most important thing that people can realize is that you need to reach out, check on your neighbors, check on, you know, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Bringing everyone back together again, I think, is the key to the starting point to helping fix this problem.